What is up, YouTube? We are back with another day. We're going to hit some cleans today. We're going to hit some squats today. We're going to hit some lower body accessories. We got the Vikings playing in an hour. We're playing like the 4 and 400 Bears with Caleb Williams leading him into the charge. So in typical Viking fashion, in a game that we should win by 30 points, I'm assuming we're going to take it down to a last-second field goal and give me a heart attack. So that'll be our cardio for today, is watching that game. And our strength training and power training is going to be these cleans. Hopefully we get something good up. We got some hangs coming today. Going to make them a little bit cleaner than they were last week. Just finished the book Blitzed. If you guys are a fan of history, if you guys are a fan of studying how the pharmaceutical companies and drugs have got to the point in which they've gotten to, cannot recommend this book enough, man. It is a deep dive into the world of doctors, into the world of health, and how a lot of people in positions of power when it comes to health are not there because they are the people that have got the most people healthy and know the most about getting people healthy. A lot of times they are there in the same way politicians are there, and they have risen through the back doors of this popularity contest. And if you read this book, it is actually scary how much it lines up with current political events. And it made me a little nihilistic, not gonna lie. It was kind of sad reading this book, but it was also kind of eye-opening of like, oh, this has definitely happened before, where I think a lot of times when you study history, it's like, oh my God, everything's kind of falling apart in the world around you. And then you realize, oh, this is how humans kind of are throughout all of history. And honestly, we should be more aware of that. And when current political events happens, we have data points to draw back to, like we should here. And I think a lot of times these things are not talked about, especially me. Like, I had no idea about Nazi Germany and their drug use, but more importantly, not even their drug use. It's crazy that they're all methed up, but honestly, that kind of makes sense with what they were doing. More so the behind the scenes of the doctors that were in power and how they got these drugs out there. Absolutely wild. Blew my mind. Hopefully it blows yours. So that's on the reading docket. If you guys are readers and looking for a book list, that's the one that I'm going to recommend to you guys. Totally different of the S&C field, but it'll give you a lot of content to draw upon. Today in the video, we're going to cover should you bulk or should you cut, and how to stay as athletic as a powerlifter. 2 questions I got in a Q&A this week in the Instagram. If you guys have any questions, I do a weekly Q&A on the Instagram. If you guys just ask them, I'll answer the good ones on here. Otherwise, just leave a comment in the YouTube video, and I'll get to the questions there. But let's get to some cleans. Let's rip. Let's go. Gonna start off with some hang cleans here. Goal is to get a nice high pull, good front rack position. Don't suck at your front rack position and get underneath the bar. That's my kind of main thought process. I'm sick of catching with my elbows super low, so hopefully these look better this week. I've been going a little bit wider on the grip. Felt a little bit better early on, so hopefully we keep ripping. Let's go. Just trying to delay getting underneath that bar as long as possible so I get that really high pull. Just had a podcast with John Crome. He's a Pan Am Games champion. As highly qualified as you can get when you ask somebody advice on for how to become a better competitor or how to become a better athlete. This dude's literally a world champion. And one of the things that he said, I took this Instagram clip from the podcast, what he said: fatigue the system again, fatigue the system, rest a little bit, fatigue the system, and you're going to create stimulus. And he said a lot of people get so wrapped up in that fatigue, they get wrapped up in when they get tired, they get wrapped up in not hitting these PRs, and they totally kind of lose the forest for the trees, and they focus on the one bad training day, and they adjust their whole training plan based off of it. And all of his principles that he talked about are very similar to our principles, which is basically just have enough faith in yourself to get through that one bad training day, continue to stack the training days on top of each other, and reap the benefits of the stimulus towards the end. And the hardest thing in today's day and age, with all the information that's put on Instagram, with all the PRs that put on Instagram, it makes you feel like you always need to have those massive high days. And as soon as you don't, you feel like you're falling behind everybody on Instagram because that's all they're posting. And the beauty of John's message was, don't get lost in that shit. Continue to fatigue, continue to rest, continue to stimulate, continue to recover, continue to make progress. And once you do that, that's when you reach that world-class level, not that Instagram level, which is our goal, right? So continue to fatigue, continue to train hard. Let's go. Feels good there. Ooh, almost lost all the weights. As it gets heavier, I'm obviously going to lose that ability to hit that high hang pull, hold it, and then get underneath. But I think that little focus on the stimulus is feeling really nice right now, and hopefully we can continue to keep that moving into the heavier weights. A couple things on that, the rant of fatiguing training hard, recovering, coming back, as a proponent of practicing smart and talking about the like differential learning approach, the constraint-led model when it comes to training. There does need to be a time and place where training smarter does have to come above training harder. But I think a lot of times we're like tricking ourselves in saying that we're training smarter and that's why we're not working very hard. And then many times it's like you're just not working very hard. It's not necessarily that you're training harder, it's just you're not working very hard. And I think that's the success a lot of these like cultures, like fitness type programs is the program itself. Keir talks about this all the time with like the WEC model or the ATG approach or the Seedman approaches. The athlete just stopped training very hard following these approaches. It's just a lesser stimulus and they start to feel better because they're not as beat up from training. And then they talk about how the training made them feel amazing, but it was literally just, they just didn't train as hard, right? And they got less stimulus out of it and you got a less of a reward from there. And there can definitely be a time and place for that, but I think a lot of times we collude those two where it's one or the other. You can train very, very hard and train very, very smart. Those two things can go together. And I don't think one should come at the cost of the other. And I think a lot of times it's not even coming at the cost, it's coming as like an excuse. It's like the reason I don't train hard is because I'm training smart. And for most people, that's just not very true. You're probably training dumb and you're training lazy, right? And that's the double negative that we're looking to avoid. And I think a lot of times with this information that is pumped into us, like the ATG type approach, is like, not only are you training dumb, you're also not training very hard and you're not going to make very much progress doing that. So if you're not going to train hard, you better be damn sure that you're training super smart. But the way to negate all of that is just to train super fucking hard and figure things out along the way. In the same sense, when I'm doing these cleans, I just watch back and it's like technique of the clean looks a little different, looks a little goofy, looks a bit slower because it's lighter weight, but I'm focusing on a technique cue, something that I want to feel there. And I notice the same thing when I'm taking a lot of T-cuts and working on drills. It's like that swing doesn't necessarily look exactly what I want it to look like in game, but my feel is there, right? And I think a lot of times when you focus on training smarter, focus on training more sport specific, I would look at that T word, something I'm trying to feel, and I would change it to make it look more game specific. I would change my cleans to be more game specific without that intuition that you need when you are a good athlete, the feel of a good swing, the feel of a good clean. I think a lot of times we lose that when we focus on training smarter. We focus so much on this technology, we focus so much on these small details that don't really matter, right? And I just feel like there's a great middle ground that you can find there instead of picking one or the other, not using one or the other excuse. Just because you train hard doesn't mean you have to train stupid, and just because you train smart doesn't mean you have to train lazy, right? There's a beautiful optimal ground in between those two things. And if you're not sure, you're probably not as smart as you think, so you probably train harder. All right, let's get it. Taking the time a little bit with the warm-up just to keep that feel of the clean. I don't know if anything big's gonna happen today, but I've been enjoying how those first couple warm-ups feel, and I don't want to lose that feel, turn it into a meathead until we have to. So probably last set of focusing on the feel here, and then we'll go into some full hang clean to get after it a little bit. Let's go. We're gonna try one set with these straps. I'm gonna realize I hate straps. I'm gonna only lifts like I always do, and then we're gonna probably throw the straps away or rage quit mid-set. So let's get it. Yep, that's a no. Ow. I don't understand how people clean on those. I felt like dick. All right, we'll get to something heavier. Keep ripping from there. Let's go. So my thoughts on bulking or cutting. Should you bulk or cut? And the question was, should I bulk or cut or just maintain muscle all year long? And I think for 99% of people, bulking or cutting for, again, 99% of people is like upgrading and redoing your bathroom in your trailer home. And this is from a guy that grew up in a trailer home, so it's not a little disconnected thing, right? It's like if you have the money to redo your bathroom in your trailer home, you're probably just better off buying a nicer house, right? Like redoing the bathroom isn't doing you a ton. I mean, it might look a little bit nicer, but on the outside, it's still shit. Same thing that happens when you're 130 pounds and you get cut, right? You start to lean out when you're 130 pounds, or you start to bulk when you're 130 pounds, right? Like we're much better off taking this long-term approach, getting up to like 180, 200 pounds, just gradually, progressively over time, having a nice solid foundation of muscle. And then when we get to that 99 percentile, we get to that 1 percentile, you have, let's say, a photo shoot coming up, then we can lean out and cut for that. Or if we have a strength pursuit after we're into a certain size or certain level of look that we're pretty satisfied with, we can increase calories and bulk a little bit for the strength gains, right? I just think so many times it's the guys that are way too small or guys that are just like 32% body fat asking if they should bulk or cut or do all these things. It's like, let's get the general foundation of our house in place to where we can walk around without our shirt off and every month of the year. And then from there, you can slightly tweak, right? But I think focusing on these 12-week diet cycles is just an absolute recipe for disaster. It's going to be something you stick to for 3 weeks, and you're probably going to see a lot of great gains for those 3 weeks. But it's not going to be something you keep up with because it's a longer-term process than a 12-week thing, and you're not going to see the results that you want to get, right? So if you're a super skinny guy, I just recommend just putting on weight, putting on muscle for a long period of time. And if you're a dude that's 32% fat, I wouldn't recommend cutting and focusing on a 12-week cut cycle and then bulking back up from there. I'd focus on just getting to a more manageable, reasonable weight and a weight that you look good taking your shirt off. And then from there, we can get specific with the diet. I just think a lot of times, again, we lose the forest for the trees and focus on these massive changes in our diet when it should be a much more long-term, gradual change. And that's not to say if a bulk or cut is getting you excited to kickstart your changes in diet, that is amazing. Go and do that if it gets you excited to go and do and make positive health changes. Absolutely. I'm just thinking more so, I see this a lot with high schoolers or college-age guys. They're just looking for that next little dopamine hit of a change in their program, change in their health routine. For most of those guys, they just need to be told the cold hard truth that you're walking around weight just needs to be better. We don't need a cut or bulk. We just need more athletic and a better looking body, and doesn't need to be as specific as these 12-week diet plans, right? Again, if it kickstarts things, that's amazing, but if it's your long-term solution, it's probably not going to work for most people, especially since there's a lot of data points leading up to the point that got your body to a point in which you want to bulk or cut, right? There's a reason you're small. There's a reason you're big. Rapid changes probably aren't going to fix those long-term health habits that you have implemented into your lifestyle to get you to the point that you want to get. You need to take long-term actions for long-term results. And for most people, that's not a hack. Again, I don't want to throw it out there if it's something that gets you excited, if it's a health challenge that gets you going. But if you're looking for an actual answer there, you're much better off focusing on the next 12 years than the 12 weeks. All right, let's get it. Ooh, let that get a little too far forward. Oh, crap. Ooh, sloppy. All right, let's make this set a little bit cleaner. Get the hips a little bit more involved. Felt pretty far away from us the last set. Let's go. That one felt better. As soon as I do the no foot, I am jumping about a foot forward, so that's kind of crazy. I'm not going to focus on changing it too much with this much weight on the bar, but that actually felt better. I like the catch on that better. I think that's why I'm actually struggling with that catch. Is like, it's the first time in my life, like pulling the bar and actually being vertical and staying in the same place and then trying to get the arms there rather than catching it and going forward. So definitely something to work on. That's kind of cool. That last set felt pretty good. Let's keep ripping. Let's go. Ooh, let's go. Whee. All right. Now it's going to turn into Send Fest. Let's get it. Here we go. All right, that was a sickening little hang clean PR. I believe it was a PR. I don't know. Felt really good. Pretty sweet. Let's keep ripping. Send something I'm going to try again with the straps on here. See how they feel. They feel amazing. It's good. I really like the grip off that last one. It just felt like it yanked me forward a little bit. So we're going to put grip on this one. Hopefully it doesn't kill me. Let's go. Come on, you got that. All right, it was a total chicken shit with the straps. I felt like I was going to get bodied at the bottom because I'm not used to them, but actually felt pretty good on that pull. So I think I'm going to do heavy pulls with those after, little high pulls with those after. But we're going to try and get this for another big PR without the straps and fucking send. Let's go. Ah, nope. Get the high pulls. All right, we're going to hit sets of 3 here of these high pulls after that bodied hang pull, hang clean attempts. Get a little volume in here on this high pull. Ass at them. Let's get better at them. Let's go. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Bodied again. One more set of those. All right, last mate head set here, then we'll get to some squats. Let's go. Ooh. 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 Let's go. Then we're going to build up to a heavy set of 3 on these front squats here. One of the things, I know I've mentioned it before when talking about the early lifts, but as I get heavier and better with them, one of the best things I've noticed is that postural integrity, total bro science word there. I know people have used it before, but when you look at like all sports and sporting positions, maintaining posture and being able to hold posture through a lot of the movements that you need to perform on the field is massively important. If you think in like a box out situation like basketball, offensive defensive line is a super easy position. Tackling in football, rugby, any contact sport where you have to hold the posture, withstand the force of your opponent, and then redirect that force or use that force against them to complete the objective of the sporting task, which is either box the guy out, tackle the guy, maintain control. And even in softball, what you see when you swing, really good swingers, they're able to maintain that posture. They're nice and upright, and they don't bleed out when they hit the ball, right? Like I think a lot of people, they have a lot of power through that lower body, but their spinal integrity, when they swing, they kind of collapse and they bleed everything out. And obviously there's technique pieces to all of that. But one of the things since implementing the Olympic lifts is just watching myself being able to hold that spinal integrity a lot better in my swing and in the Olympic lifts themselves as I get better at them. And there's really not much of a substitute you can do than when you have 300 pounds in front of you and you're having to decelerate and catch that bar and then get back up without completely folding over into a circle. And that's one of the things that I'm finding myself struggle with in these Oli lifts since taking out a lot of the contact preps, stuff that I did when I was in football. And having that piece back in training with these Oli lifts has been very effective for being able to train that quality. And it's a quality that I think is really important. So let's get these front squats. Let's go. Vikings just got a sack top fumble. Huge news. We're about to go up 10-0. Let's go. The work is working. That's one thing one of my clients always tells me whenever he's having a good day. The work is working. That's all we can ask for. Let's get it. So the other question I got in the Q&A was, can you still be an athlete if you train for a powerlifting meet? And here's the thing, I get this question all the time. Can you be an athlete if? Can you be an athlete if? Like, sport itself is not what makes you not an athlete, right? The reason powerlifters, for the most part, are not athletes, and I would argue that they are athletes. A lot of them are super athletes with CNSs that are firing like crazy, especially high-level powerlifters, right? But the reason that a lot of them are not traditionally athletic is because they stopped doing athletic things. It has nothing to do with the sport in and of itself. A lot of strength conditioning programs are powerlifting based, right? Like you're lifting a lot of heavy weight, but you're also on the back end going to go do athletic things, or within your training you're going to go do some athletic things. So with every power lift that I work with, all we do is just sprinkle in some sort of athletic movement. They feel way more athletic, they feel way better, and then they can go do their sport more productively, right? So it's not the sport of powerlifting that makes someone athletic. It's the fact that you're not doing athletic things. In the same way you would become a not great squatter if you didn't squat for a long period of time, or you'd be a bad powerlifter if you weren't practicing powerlifting. Same thing goes for athleticism. If you stop doing athletic things, you're going to become a not as good athlete. And it's a pretty simple fix. Just add in some athletic things. And not only are you going to feel better, again, but you're going to feel more athletic and be able to do more things in life. Well, not taking away from your sport. You don't have to add in 4 hours a week of athletic work. Add in like 10 minutes a day in your training of just some sort of athletic movement to start, and then get into your powerlifting stuff from there. Keep your main goal the goal of powerlifting, but add in some of this supplementary stuff to keep your body feeling good, keep your body feeling athletic, right? So you can absolutely be an athletic powerlifter. I see them all the time. A lot of powerlifters are actually really easy to get super athletic because the thing that made them good at powerlifting, which was an amazing CNS, being super strong physical athletes, just gets fed into the next athletic endeavor that they want to pursue, and all you have to do is sprinkle in some of that athletic movement again, right? So sprints, jumps, some sort of spinal movement, and just again 10 minutes at the start of their workout will make a world of difference for you if you are a powerlifter, and for your powerlifting clients if you do work with powerlifters. All right, let's get it. Oof. 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 All right, last set here. Let's send it. Let's go. Oof. Oof, come on. Oof, got that into a double. Gonna call that a cluster. I was losing that shit forward. Almost lost that. Little break. We're gonna rip the third set. Ooh, there we go. Oh, it's the power of a cluster right there. Little welty cluster. Let's get it. Just gonna finish up with a couple of accessories. It's the third set here. Absolute fucking ripper. Single leg pistol squat on this little leg press machine here. Coming up into this pistol. Single leg here, we got 8 reps each leg, absolute money. Get all the way into that deep squat position. It's a nice little way to load up those pistol squats, taking away the balance, get a little unilateral strength in. Let's go. Oof. 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 Holy shit. Oof. Woo. Those are spicy. All right, last leg here. Let's go. Oof. 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 Oh my God, that one is spicy. Hips have been feeling much better in that deep tier squatted position that I've been working on, so that's nice. Finding a bunch of machines like this to continue to load it up has been amazing. We're gonna go finish up maxing out the leg curl machine, and then we're gonna go watch the Vikings dominate. Let's go. Just gonna finish up with a set of 8 here. Typically been like maxing out the machines for the pump, but haven't done a strength set on the machines recently, so I've been hitting 3 sets of 8. Absolute spice. Ripping the legs apart. Let's get it here. Let's go, last set here. Oof. 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 And, oh my God, holy shit. Oh, we are amply stimulated. I'm gonna go watch the Vikings dominate. I appreciate you guys watching. Keep chopping wood. Let's go.